Good evening, Reds. This is the Blood Red podcast, the post-match edition. Liverpool have just beaten Newcastle United by 2-0 at Anfield to move, 13 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. I'm Mark Magill. I'm sat here in this dismal-looking hotel room in North London, looking with envious eyes over to Theo Squires in the press box in the main stand at Anfield. Theo, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. Welcome back, Mark. It's good to have you. You're on with us tonight.
Yeah, it's good. I've been, looking forlorn into the middle distance with sad piano music playing in the background, waiting for the Blood Red podcast to give me a shout. I got the tap on the shoulder and I'm back in action. So, yeah, it's good to see you there. So, before we get started, let's give a shout out to the Blood Red podcast sponsors, NordVPN. Do a lot of good work and enable the podcast to continue. So, thanks a lot to NordVPN. From VPN to VVD, Virgil van Dijk. And if that's not big, why I don't know what it is. So, Virgil van Dijk and the boys got the 3 points tonight. That extends the lead at the Premier League table. Lots to talk about in the match tonight, but Theo, do you want to just give us a little broad overview of what your main takeaways from the match was tonight at Anfield?
I'm suddenly feeling a lot more confident about the League Cup final, I will say that much, because Newcastle have been one of the informed teams in the Premier League behind Liverpool in the last few weeks, couple of months. But Liverpool were in cruise control from start to finish tonight, really. Anfield was really on one tonight. Like, they knew it was an opportunity, having extended the lead over Arsenal at the weekend when Arsenal lost to West Ham. They beat Man City. And then you look at the fixtures tonight. At Anfield, Newcastle United under the lights, whereas Arsenal have got to go to Nottingham Forest. Arsenal playing first, of course, and you've seen them being held 0-0. And the longer that game goes on, you're thinking this could be more drop points there. Liverpool kicking off 45 minutes after them, get the first goal through. Szoboszlai quite early on. Lovely bit of play from Luis Diaz down the left centre side to cut it back to him. It's not the prettiest finish from Szoboszlai we'll see this season. Goes through two players' legs. I think the keeper gets a touch to it, but it still goes in. And Liverpool just controlled it, really. I can't remember Alisson having a save to make. Second half, they get the goal through McAllister. Lovely bit of play from Salah to hold it up and lay it off. Nice emphatic finish there. But yeah, Newcastle should be a lot tougher than this. We've seen them play such good football in recent months. They've got such a good start in 11. Yes, they were dealt a blow with Alexander Isak ruled out just before kickoff, just before teams dropped, I think, because he was actually here at Anfield tonight. But Liverpool look like a team that have only lost once in the league all season. So confident, in control, and it was no surprise to hear the fans singing, "We're going to win the league once more," deafening here at Anfield in that second half.
You mentioned Newcastle, maybe you thought it was a bit surprised. Now they were in a bit more of a challenge for the Reds. And it did seem like they were kind of playing a lot more kind of deeper on the break, 11 men behind the ball at times. We see teams come and do this at Anfield. It's not a big surprise, but were you surprised to see Newcastle with this change of attitude? Do you think that kind of played into Liverpool's hands a little bit?
Yeah, I think it did. Looking at how they shaped up, they seemed to try and match Liverpool for a 4-2-3-1. They had Gordon behind the striker, Callum Wilson, who hasn't played much this season. He's had injuries. And that seemed like a mistake from a Liverpool point of view, because Gordon is a player that scares us. He is a player that gives Trent Alexander-Arnold a torrid time, more times than not when they face. And you think, get him on the wing, use your flanks, get him behind, and take advantage of that space. But when he's in the centre, he didn't really do much at all. There was one opening for Callum Wilson where he got in behind the centre-backs and shanked it high and wide. But yeah, Newcastle just didn't make the most of these players. And you think Liverpool's midfield has been so good this season. Another great performance from that engine room with Gravenberch, McAllister and Szoboszlai. But you need that third man in there, a proper worker. Joe Linton's injured, so they couldn't put him in there. But they could have had Joe Willock in the middle with, who did they have? They had Guimaraes, they had, Tonali? No, Tonali did start. This is it. You can't say, these players stood out. And this is what has been a surprise for Newcastle tonight, because I think they're usually a very good team and you can pick out their star players and you notice them playing. But Liverpool just had them in the back pocket. Going 4-2-3-1 to try and match up, I can see why Eddie Howe wanted to do that. But they should have had more confidence in what they're good at, their own game plan, their own strengths, and had a go at Liverpool. Maybe that they feared that they'd have been emphatically beaten. We saw them thrashed by Manchester City at the Etihad 4-0 a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, they were disappointing tonight, I will say that. we won't know how much Isaac dropping out has affected their game plan. You'd imagine if he was here, it was quite a late call. They didn't want to take any risks with him. But still, putting Callum Wilson in, should it really change it that much? Were they originally going to have Gordon as the number 10 anyway? It's a puzzling one, but Liverpool have no complaints because they get the job done. Another 3 points in the bag and 13 points. It's just getting bigger and bigger at the top now every week.
It certainly is. It's great to see. But you mentioned their Liverpool lineup 4-2-3-1 there, which is maybe a little bit of a change from the past couple of fixtures where they played the kind of, I guess, a 4-2-2-2 or a 4-4-2 at that box midfield, the split strikers, however you want to say it. There's lots of different ways of painting that picture. But certainly Liverpool in the past 2 games was against City and Villa. They lined up slightly different than tonight. Do you think it was a surprise to see this maybe return to something which is maybe a bit more of a traditional, recognisable Arne Slot formation?
No, I don't think so. I think this has been a tough run of fixtures for Liverpool when it's been the 5 games in 15 days, some tricky away trips in there going to Villa, City, Everton as well. And they have had a couple of injuries, like we've seen Bradley ruled out, Gakpo's missed a couple. Arne Slot has had to manage his players rather carefully, and that was partly why Diogo Jota didn't get a kick at the weekend, because they're managing him after he's come back from injury, managing that fitness level. They've not wanted to play Diaz for 90 minutes week after week. They've not wanted to play Trent 90 minutes week after week because he's only just come back from injury. We've seen a rotation at left back tonight with Robertson coming in. So I think those last couple of games, it is because you've lost Gakpo to injury. You're trying to manage Diaz's minutes. You're trying to manage the minutes of other players. And it's like, we can put this extra man in midfield. We can have Curtis Jones in there along with the 3 that started tonight, because those are 4 of Arne Slot's most trusted players. But then when you've got Diogo Jota having had a weekend off, and you've got Cody Gakpo getting closer, Luis Diaz has sat out one of the games recently as well, there was enough there to go back to the basics, go back to the 4-2-3-1. The box midfield has served them well in a couple of games, but you think Arne Slot will stick to the 4-2-3-1. He'd rather have a more natural number 9 in there. And it did work well tonight. Diogo Jota was really hard working. Granted, he doesn't get much of opening on goal, but he was great at harrying the defenders, winning the ball back, linking up with his wide men in the midfielders, especially in that first half. It's given Arne Slot something to think about, because there's not much football coming up in the next month. You've got 2 games against PSG. You've got the League Cup final, almost a Champions League final. They're getting carried away with myself. And you've also got Southampton at home in the Premier League. So he can manage legs even more carefully there, choose his starting 11s wisely, and we'll see who is actually going to be first choice for the League Cup final, because you could easily have Luis Diaz as centre forward again. He finished the game here tonight, but this is the strength and depth Liverpool have, that they can look at opposition, they can look at the players' fitness levels and change it up depending on what is the best fit for each game.
You mentioned Luis Diaz there. I was a little bit surprised that he started. I thought he might have gone for Gakpo to start. Diaz played a lot of football recently, and obviously Gakpo coming back from injury, but I thought Gakpo would have got the nod. But in the first half, I thought Luis Diaz was incredible, really. He was at the heart of most of the good things that Liverpool were doing, lots of take-ons, lots of involvement in Liverpool chances, win the ball back. Tapered off a little bit in the second half, but what did you make of his first half performance?
He was brilliant in that first half. Liverpool were getting down that left-hand side so much, and he was linking up really well with Tsimikas, with Szoboszlai. He's the one who creates that first goal, and he just seemed to have Livramento in his back pocket. He quietened a bit in the second half, and I don't think that's much of a surprise, because part of it is Liverpool. They've got the goal, they've got the lead, they can protect it a little bit. They don't have to harry opposition as much, but he's also played a lot of football recently. So it is marathon, not a sprint mentality here at Anfield. But yeah, it's good to see him playing well when he is back in his favourite position, because he has been a bit hit and miss the last few months since he's been switched to that false 9. Obviously, you can't fault it, because Cody Gakpo has been phenomenal when he's been starting on the left flank. Scored so many goals before that recent injury, and it's just a reminder of what Diaz can do when he's on that left flank. But when they're all fit, you're going to go with Gakpo there. It's a no-brainer. Gakpo has been that good. He's just that bit more direct. He's that more prolific in front of goal. Diaz is a different animal, isn't he? He's more pacey. It's more trickery from him. He's effective, but in a different way. So it's a headache for Arne Slot, but a welcome one.
It is. I mean, two different kind of player profiles there, and that must be amazing. The Slot to have so many different kind of players for different situations there. But obviously, we're talking about Diaz in the first half. He played really well, but that opening 25 minutes or so for Liverpool, I thought they were incredible at times. I think that was like the closest maybe we've seen from this side to what we've seen maybe in the past from the Jurgen Klopp side in terms of dominating dominating a team and just blowing a team away. And obviously, again, that tapers off after. You can't really go in those periods for too long. But did you see maybe a bit of mental determination there from the go after a couple of slow starts from Liverpool in the past couple of games? Maybe do you think that was a real determination to take that destiny in their own hands?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. It's probably not helped that the last couple of Anfield games have been a bit sleepy, haven't they? I think it's Wolves and Ipswich. It was nice to get one back under lights against one of the biggest sides in the Premier League. And with a good travelling crowd that are obviously going to make a noise. They're going to create atmosphere. And as I've already mentioned, the fans are up for it that little bit more tonight. They knew how big tonight could be for the Premier League title race. They know how big the weekend was. We've seen that lead grow. Like Arsenal would have been a little bit more confident when Liverpool dropped points to Everton, when they dropped points to Aston Villa. But now that they've just had that taken away completely, and it was something for the fans to feed off. They give that to the players. The players feed back off it. They reward that with a quick start. And when you start so quickly against Newcastle, they're always going to be up against it. It's the same for any team coming to Anfield. If Liverpool start well, get an early goal, you're going to have a tough job in your hands. It's only if you defend well, frustrate Liverpool, frustrate the crowd, hit a goal on the counter, that they get a little bit more anxious. Or like we saw Wolves when they limited to Liverpool to absolutely nothing at all in the second half and threatened a comeback. A better side probably does pull off a comeback that day. But Liverpool were in cruise control of this. And it was almost party atmosphere. We shouldn't be saying this at the end of February. It seems far too early to say Liverpool have just taken a giant step towards clinching that Premier League title. But they have. That's the reality of it, because the majority of their games left in the Premier League are at Anfield. This is what it's going to be like. It's going to be this almost carnival atmosphere. And there's some big games in there as well. Everton have got to come here. Arsenal have got to come here. It's a great opportunity for Liverpool to enjoy what they missed out on in 2020, where with 9 games to go, football was taken away from the fans. Getting that love back now, aren't we, where you can see Liverpool preparing for a Premier League title run in, knowing that it is going to take a freakish set of results for this to turn around and somehow Arsenal pull it back.
Well, we'll talk about maybe running in a little bit, but maybe let's have a little word about Dominic Szoboszlai. Obviously, you mentioned him there before. Scores the goal. I think he has an incredible game. I think maybe for me, that could even be his best performance in a Liverpool shirt. It was maybe the kind of performance that maybe we thought we were getting with the player when he first signed. A bit of all action, box to box, getting involved, super high energy. And obviously, he's not that in every game. He's required to do different things, but it was so exciting to watch tonight. How would you rate his performance? Do you think he was player of the match for you?
Yeah, man of the match by far. Another brilliant performance from him. We're saying this every week from him at the moment. Something has just clicked since that Tottenham 6-3 game in December, and he's impacting games more in the final third. He's offering goals, he's offering assists, and he's accompanying that with the work rate that we've seen all season long. He's getting more of a budding partnership with Mohamed Salah in particular. He's linking up really well with his fellow players, and he is the heartbeat of this Liverpool side. When Jurgen Klopp built his great side, it was about Roberto Firmino. Everything revolved around him. And I'm going to go as far as say this is what Szoboszlai's role is in this team now, because he is the one leading the press. He is the one covering the most distance, harrying defenders. But then he's got that bit of trickery as well. There's a couple of nice little flicks and back heels to link up with Salah. He's got an eye for goal, and now he's got that confidence to have a shot himself. But he's got a good pass on him as well. There was some great through balls from him in the second half in front of the Kop, and Liverpool were unlucky not to score a third. He's involved at the heart of absolutely everything. But we have been saying this for the last few weeks now. We've said it, I think, against maybe Tottenham in the 4-0. Said it in the Tottenham the 6-3. We've said it against City. He is setting the standards week after week along with Mohamed Salah, and it is a joy to watch. He's adding that end product.
I think that was the big thing in a way, and we could see he was a real athlete. We know about the distance he can kind of cover, but like recently, as you say, he's added that end product. And you think there's also times maybe when he's brought in that leadership kind of qualities that we see in his national team there. And there's times tonight when he's encouraging the players around them to either sit in shape or to go and press. And do you think we're really seeing a much more confident, not just Szoboszlai, but also just more confident Liverpool midfield? They know they've got such a gap there between them and Arsenal. they just look like a different team than when maybe at certain times over the past 5 games when they've looked mentally a little bit vulnerable at times. They just look like they're having the time of their life tonight. Especially Mo Salah, big smile on his face, as always. They just look like they're having some real fun. Does that come across when you're sat there in the stadium?
Yeah, it does. Like, there is a real connection there with this group. They know they can achieve something special now. They know how close they could be to winning that second Premier League title and to reclaim what was robbed from them when the pandemic struck. And they are the best players in the country at the moment. It's the best team in the country, arguably the best team in Europe. They've got Mohamed Salah, who is leading the way for the Ballon d'Or by an absolute mile. The front runner for the Premier League Golden Boot, the Playmaker Award, gets another assist tonight. But it's not all about him, and that's what we've seen tonight with the midfield stepping up with goals, which is great to see. There's been criticism at times this year of, say, the centre forward not scoring enough for Liverpool, but you can't fault the wide players, you can't fault the centre midfielders. And Arne Slot, that is probably his biggest impact so far, how he has transformed the fortune of that engine room or positioned them more in their favoured positions. So like Ryan Gravenberch, hit and miss first season, didn't really have a role, wasn't really completing 90 minutes, wasn't starting week after week. They missed out on Zubimendi. So you are our number 6. You are going to play every week. Go and show us how good you are. We're seeing why Liverpool were monitoring when he was at Ajax as a teenager, how good a player he is. He's living up to that potential. And the knock-on from that is McAllister is in a more advanced role as the 8. That's what he wants to play. He's a quality midfielder, a World Cup winning midfielder, and he's playing with more confidence there. And Szoboszlai is in that 10. He's had to be a more defensive midfielder last year, granted still box-to-box, but now he's got more freedom to express himself in that final third. They're being allowed to do what they're good at, and it fits into Arne Slot's system. And there's also that experience of they're in their second years at Liverpool. They know what it was like to miss out last year, having had the lead in a title race. Granted, they were probably never really favourites, but that was a time where it was a new team establishing itself, having to prove itself. They've already proven themselves now, and they are just playing with such confidence. It still seems strange that it's going to be another 3 months before the title is lifted, if it is going to be here at Anfield or at the Emirates. Well, should we throw the City Ground in there? Maybe Nottingham Forest can pull off a late reprieve as well. But yeah, there is still a long way to go, but Liverpool do seem to have it in the bag at the moment. I don't want to get too carried away, but it's hard not 13 points. It's hard not to, and the fact that Liverpool play first next. So Liverpool play Southampton on the Saturday, United host Arsenal on the Sunday. And granted, United at Old Trafford, you don't know what's going to turn up there. You don't know how Arsenal are going to find that. But if Liverpool go 16 points clear, which they should do, then what does that do to Arsenal mentally? Like, Arsenal look mentally broken. Like, I've seen the pictures from them at the City Ground at the end. They look absolutely devastated. The same as they did when they lost to West Ham. They know this has slipped through their fingers. If they're not going to win the Premier League title this season, if they get it, it's because Liverpool lost it.
100%. I mean, just want to touch on something you said before about Liverpool maybe having a little lack of goals from that centre forward position. And tonight, it's 2 midfield players scoring. Talk about Szoboszlai, McAllister gets the second. Both those players instrumental as well, and like starting, those movements as well. Lots of great forward running from deep from midfield. McAllister, I think he's gone onto another level watching him here. I think we've always seen his quality on the ball. He'll do everything for the team, but I think his physicality has really improved this season. I think maybe there was times in his first season at Anfield maybe he gets targeted a little bit by opposition. See him as maybe as a physical weaker link in that side, and not that he gets bullied, but physically maybe he wasn't quite up for it. This season, I think he's taken that to a different level, and he's kind of getting battered week in and week out, and he just keeps on getting up. Again tonight, he's got stud marks down his legs. He gets up, and he scores a goal. I mean, what do you take of his improvement this season? Have you seen it as well?
Yeah, he's just been even more consistent for Liverpool this year. He loves his scrap. He loves to get stuck in. His passing is superb. The way he plays it through the lines. But he is now able to get into the penalty area a little bit more, able to make those late runs. And we've seen him score a few vital goals that way. He is so important to the Liverpool team as well. Like a World Cup winning midfielder, as we've already said. And maybe there was a caveat of there. He was at Brighton. But now he's showing, he's not just fluked his way to that. He is an absolute sensational player. And he is one of the most gifted players in this Liverpool team. The fact that he's doing this without really having much pace as well. It's one of those players that just is ahead in his mind. He's 1 or 2 steps ahead. He can see how the game's going to pan out. He can use his backside to hold off players and turn them, and then just pick those perfect passes. And when you've got Salah getting in behind, or Diaz, Gakpo, whatever, it's so deadly. It's great to see him going from strength to strength. And that 35 million, was it? What an absolute bargain.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, we can't go another Liverpool game without talking about Mo Salah again. I thought it was a bit quiet in the first half, as he tends to be. Figures things out, plays on the periphery, waits for his chance. And then there was a period of 20, 30 minutes in that second half when he just seemed to come alive and just seemed to just be that Mo Salah that we just have seen week in, week out. Gets his 17th assist in the Premier League season this season. Just incredible. I mean, if you write words about him for a living, you surely can't have any more words you can describe Mo Salah and the season he's having this year.
Well, Andy Robertson put it well at the weekend, didn't he, when he said he's bored of talking about him. But Mohamed Salah is it's a sensation. It's week after week after week after week. It's the next level of consistency. This rate of goals and assists, it's remarkable. He's a killer. And yeah, he might not get his goal tonight, but he still managed to make that impact in the final third. And we'll say it time and time again, they have to get this contract resolved, because this is a player who is not slowing down, who is looking after his body so well, is enjoying the best season ever. Maybe it would be a surprise if he took it to new heights again next season. Maybe this is the absolute peak. But even if he declines a little bit next year and the year after, it's still a sensational player. Liverpool are lucky to have him.
Yeah, I mean, I say week in, week out, we see him doing it. And I think whatever happens with him, we've just got to enjoy when we're watching him do all this amazing stuff. He seems determined tonight to do something with the outside of his left boot as well. He's loving that at the moment. But
so unlucky with that, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's crazy. But we just got to enjoy it. It's all out of our hands. So we just got to enjoy it while we can, because maybe he'll be here for a couple of years, maybe another 1 year. Maybe this is it. So let's just enjoy him while we've got him there. So maybe we can have a little wrap up and talk about, I mean, you mentioned about the run in there, and there's still quite a bit of football left to play. Do you see there's any way Liverpool slip up from here? It's such a massive lead, and they're finding a way to win games. Obviously, we just got through this period of, 5 games in 15 days when people were saying this could be the time when Liverpool are going to slip up, and they come away with 11 points out of 15, maybe it was, undefeated. How did he lose the title from this position? Can you see it happen at all?
I can't, as things stand. It'll probably take an injury crisis to hit the Liverpool squad. Like if they lost Gravenberch, they lost Salah, they lost Van Dijk, something ridiculous like that. But they've still got good quality in reserve. Maybe not quite those. It would have to be in those crucial positions. But you look at the fixtures coming up. Southampton at home, strugglers, should be a Liverpool win. Everton at Anfield. That should be a Liverpool win. The Merseyside derby at Anfield is a very different game to when it's at Goodison. Yeah. Fulham away, that's a bit tricky. West Ham at home, again, they're strugglers, should be a Liverpool win. Leicester away, caveat there of they're fighting for their lives, but it's probably done they look dead, don't they? Like look, Southampton, maybe not quite as bad. But then you got Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal. These are games against bigger sides where you're going to have the crowd up for it. It should already be done by then. It is going to take a mammoth drop-off from Liverpool or injuries for this to turn around. Something's going to have to turn. And even if Liverpool do slip up, you've then got to rely on Arsenal to be able to capitalise. And they're so far back now with injuries, it'll take a lot for them to mentally turn it around, because it's not a case of, 2 points dropped here, we're breathing down the necks. It's you need them to lose. You need them to lose again. You need them to lose again. You're right there. I mean, I think Liverpool fans, as we all are, I think maybe there's just that little bit of hesitation about going all in. And I know a lot of the fans are singing, about win the league and what have you, but it still feels like it's just not quite there, and they're holding back a little bit just because obviously we've been burnt several times over several decades of watching the club. And I just wonder when that point will be, when we're all in. But I guess that's a conversation for another day. So it might be a good point to wrap up there. You should get home and have your Horlicks or whatever malt-based bedtime drink you're going to get stuck in there. So next up is Liverpool versus Southampton this weekend. That's the next one in the Premier League. It'll be PSG next in the Champions League.
Of course, yeah.
But
Liverpool get the weekend off this weekend, don't they?
yeah,
FA Cup weekend, and suddenly that Plymouth Argyle result doesn't seem so bad at all. It seems like it was pretty perfect, really. It's you can't really fight on four fronts. We tried it didn't happen. I don't think any club can really do that. So hopefully Mo and the lads are going to get the feet up this weekend, get in the ice bath or do whatever they do, and they'll be fighting fit for PSG. Was it next Tuesday? Next Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Excellent. Are you going?
Not to that one. I'll be at the home one though.
Home one. Excellent. Well, should we wrap it up there for the Blood Red Podcast post-match show? And it was good to see you, Theo. Good to talk to you. Liverpool, top of the league, getting ever closer to league championship, number 20. So up the Reds. Nice one.